What is up, YouTube? Guys, Jericho426 coming at you with another Marvel Contest of Champions video, and today, guys, we are going to be talking about, discussing, dissecting the very best newly buffed Hawkeye synergies. The very best of the newly buffed Hawkeye synergies. Yeah. So if you have been living under a rock in the past week or so, you might not know, but you should know, so now you're going to know, that Hawkeye was indeed buffed. And Hawkeye was never a bad champion in MCoC, he was just a little outdated. So he was kind of updated, and I think that his buff is quite phenomenal. I'm really enjoying it, especially if he is awakened at a high sick. With that being said, we want to take a look at some of the synergies that can make Hawkeye's gameplay a little bit more fun, and a little better overall in MCoC. Before we get straight into that though, let's break down a couple of the guidelines I'm going to be following as we talk about these synergies. One, I'm not just going to be using the synergies that are listed for like Hawkeye's character info, right? If you go to ontm.ai, which is a fantastic website for all MCoC knowledge, if you need a fantastic website for that kind of thing, you will see on there are tons of synergies listed for Hawkeye that are not listed for his character. And so we are going to be exploring a lot of these synergies, but we are not going to be looking at every single one of these synergies. Only the ones that really change his gameplay style or add something to it that is beneficial. Some of them are just kind of lackluster, and we're not honestly going to worry about those because really, who's ever going to use them? In addition, guys, I am not going to go over all or maybe any of the info regarding the other members of that synergy pairing or team, as it were, as well, honestly, I need more content to make for later on, and so those synergies will be saved for other synergy style videos. So guys, we are just going to be talking about the benefits that Hawkeye himself specifically gets. With all that being said, guys, let's get straight into the content and look at the very best synergies for the newly buffed Hawkeye. We are going to first look at synergies that change Hawkeye's utility and overall kit. The first one up is the Shield Survival Gear synergy with Nick Fury, Black Widow Deadly Origin, or Quake. This synergy makes Hawkeye completely immune to all the effects of poison. And while this doesn't add a whole lot to his gameplay, it does open him up to many more fights within Contest of Champions. As you can see here, he is doing quite well in this fight against Abomination. But this also makes him viable in fights against the likes of Immortal Abomination, Man-Thing, or even OG Scarlet Witch. Next up, we have our Adamantium Arrow synergy with MODOK, Old Man Logan, X-23, and Wolverine Weapon X if you've managed to acquire him at some point. In this fight, we chose to go with MODOK as Big Head never seems to get enough love, and so why not? This synergy gives Hawkeye's arrow attacks the ability to remove rock stacks and rock charges from the opponent. This makes him now a very viable option to take up against the likes of Thing and, indeed, Korg. Finally, guys, in the utility changers, we have the synergy, the West Coast Avengers with Tigra. Using this synergy will turn all of the bleed damage from Hawkeye's arrows into poison damage. Again, opening him up to many more fights within Contest of Champions where the opponent might be bleed immune but not poison immune. Sorry I don't have any real gameplay of this, but I have yet to acquire a 5 or 6 star Tigra, and this synergy is locked in with either a 5 or 6 star Tigra. Now let's look at the synergies, guys, that really increase Hawkeye's damage, which is really what we're all looking for, right? The first on our list is the Banished synergy with MCoC. Using this synergy, Hawkeye will gain an indefinite Fury passive in every single fight, and this will increase his attack rating by 10%. Now, this may not seem like the biggest boost to attack rating, but it does come in handy when combined with other synergies that we are going to talk about later. Speaking of Fury abilities, guys, we now have this synergy with who many consider to be one of the best champions in the game, Hercules. The name of the synergy is Pawn Set Free, and with this synergy, anytime Hawkeye uses his special attack 1 in order to power drain the opponent over a threshold, so from 1 bar of power down to another one, anytime he does this, he will gain a Fury buff, up to a max of 3 Fury buffs, and each of these Fury buffs will increase his attack rating by 20%. If you are able to get all 3 of these active on Hawkeye, you were talking about a 60% increase to overall attack rating, which is quite astounding, but most of the times I find that you will probably be sitting around 2 of these Fury buffs if you're only using that special attack 1 throughout a fight. The best strategy to activate the synergy that I have found is to wait until the opponent is over 1 bar of power and about 50%, at most 50%, to that next bar of power, and then use your special attack 1 to power drain them. He will power drain 75% of a bar of power and will take him over that threshold, gaining a Fury buff. The next synergy with Hitmonkey, called the No Evil synergy, is almost equally as impressive, and yes, it is always good to be bringing in good champions with other good champions to complete great synergies. Nobody wants to have to use a bad champion to complete a good synergy. But with this particular synergy, all of Hawkeye's arrow attacks will have an increased 20% attack rating when striking a bleeding opponent. And since most of the time when fighting Hawkeye, the opponent is going to be bleeding, this is a very useful synergy to boost his overall damage. Speaking of attack rating, throwing Void onto a team and getting the Overcoming Fear synergy will increase the overall attack rating of all #Avengers champions by 15%. When looking at increasing the overall bleed damage, look no further than to bring in the Skill Domination synergy with Black Panther Civil War. Now I know this is not the best version of Black Panther right now. He is supposed to be getting a buff at some point in time. We don't know when. I would imagine it's going to be in 2022, but hopefully whenever he becomes buffed, and hopefully better, this will be a much better option for this synergy. Using this synergy, all skill champions on the team will increase their bleed damage by 15, 20, or 25% depending on whether it's a 4-star, 5-star, or 6-star that you are synergizing with. Finally, guys, I would absolutely consider this next synergy called Birds of Prey with Darkhawk to be Hawkeye's absolute best synergy in the game. With this synergy, Hawkeye will get an increase of plus 5% to his overall critical rating. And we know that critical rating is very important when playing the newly buffed Hawkeye. But in addition, all damaging debuffs will increase their potency by 40%. That is a gigantic increase to potency, and really when combined with other synergies, makes him very powerful indeed, especially at higher levels. And speaking of other synergies, let's talk about 2 different combinations of synergies you could do around Hawkeye in order to completely max out his abilities. So first, let's look at increasing his overall critical rating and his bleed duration. To get the most for his critical rating, you're going to first want to add that Darkhawk synergy in to get that 5% overall increase to critical rating. Additionally, adding in Mr. Negative or War Machine will increase his critical rating by 85, 115, or 155 depending on the star level of the champion you're bringing in. And this one with Mr. Negative and War Machine can actually stack with itself, so this can actually give him a very big bump to critical rating if you have enough of those champions at a higher level. Now, along with this increase in critical rating, let's go ahead and increase the duration for his bleeds as well. To get the most out of the bleed duration, first add in Taskmaster. Whenever you add in Taskmaster, after you initially use a special 3 attack, every perfect release attack after that special 3 will increase the duration of his debuffs by 20%. Finally, you could add in Black Widow Deadly Origin to increase the duration of his bleed effects by 10%. But if Black Widow is knocked out, this will actually increase the duration by 30%. With this synergy team, you will not only increase the duration of your bleeds, but also greatly increase your critical rating, which is going to increase your chance of getting those critical bleeds, which are going to do so much damage, and elongate the time on which those bleeds will be applied to the opponent. Now let's look at maxing out Hawkeye's damage. We first want to bring in the Hercules synergy for the Fury buffs. Either use Void for the increase of 15% to the overall attack rating, or Black Panther Civil War for the increase to bleed damage. Honestly, I would probably go for Void right now until Black Panther Civil War gets buffed. Then bring in that awesome Darkhawk synergy that we've talked about several times already, and now throw on Hitmonkey for that increase of 20% to attack rating with every arrow hit against a bleeding opponent. Overall, if you're trying to maximize Hawkeye himself, both of these are great teams. They actually both deal a lot of damage. You're going to get an extension on the timer for each of the bleeds using the critical chance team and bleed team, and then you're going to get increased bleed damage and increased attack rating from the damage team. So both of them have their benefits. You can also mix and match as you would want to, but I think out of these two, I do prefer the damage team, and not just because you're getting increased damage, but also because of the synergy members that you are bringing in are overall, you're getting a little bit of a better team than the other team. The Critical Chance team is not a bad team at all, but you are being able to include Hercules, Darkhawk, Hitmonkey, and Void on this damage team. So overall, you're getting a great team of champions that can meet the needs of a lot of different nodes and other champions within the game. Please also remember, guys, if you are trying to make a synergy team and you are not seeing these synergies pop up when you are playing the game, it may be because your star level is not high enough for one of the champions. A lot of these are locked to 4, 5, and 6-star champions, so if you're not seeing it, you might just not have a high enough champion to synergize with. And there you go, guys. All of the very best synergies, in my opinion, for the newly buffed Hawkeye. I really do like this champion, and he does have some very powerful synergies to build a team around. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the content. Thank you for stopping by. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you go ahead and do that to stay up to date on all MCoC content, including guides and synergies. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and as always, I will catch you on the flip side.